There is unquestionably something supernatural going on in the train graveyard, and anyone who played the original Final Fantasy VII may recall the ghost enemies could also be fought in the corresponding section, capable of vanishing and reappearing mid-battle. In order to ascertain exactly what these ghosts are, however, I have to delve into some pretty abstract compilation lore. Just as it did back in 1997, their existence presents a curious question about the metaphysics of the Final Fantasy VII universe. Compilation fans will by now be very familiar with the concept of spirit energy and the lifestream. To briefly summarise, the lifestream is the great swell of all spirit energy, and is quite literally the lifeblood of the planet. A single strand of spirit energy can be equated to a soul, allocated to an individual when they are born, and which rejoins the lifestream when they die. So how then do these ghosts fit into that system? Are they fully dead? Are they part of the physical or spiritual world? Or are they perhaps just a special type of monster? Well, there are actually a few examples of similar entities in the compilation. The phantoms of the Gi tribe at Cosmo Canyon are probably the best instance, and I'll come back to them in a minute. But there is also the famous disappearing spirit of Aerith at the Sector 5 church, when the player first returns to Midgar in the old game. The remnants of Sephiroth in Advent Children, Kadaj, Loz and Yazoo, who are willfully formed from the negative lifestream. And of course the mysterious hooded spectres that are somehow connected to fate and have already appeared several times in the remake. There is another specific example, however, which provides a bit more context to the ghosts haunting the train graveyard. In the original Final Fantasy VII, the player will encounter hovering pumpkin-like beings at Shinra Manor called Dorky Faces. These enemies actually play a role in episode 13 of Before Crisis, where they are presented as floating balls of blue flame in the darkness. It's only when the player Turk turns on the lights that they are revealed to be Dorky Faces. During the episode, Chief Ferdo explains that these entities are associated with death, likening them to Hitodama of Japanese folklore. Hitodama are effectively souls of the dead that have separated from their bodies. It can't be a coincidence then that the undisturbed spirits of the train graveyard are depicted the same way, as a blue flame floating in the darkness. As the group later makes their way through the second floor offices of the facility, Tifa quotes the old urban legend again, and begins to ponder what would have happened if she and the others had been caught and trapped here by the ghosts. Aerith responds by proposing that they may have it backwards, that perhaps the ghosts are the ones who are trapped. As I touched on before, there is actually a precedent for this type of scenario in the original Final Fantasy VII. When Bugenhagen leads Cloud and Nanaki into the caverns beneath Cosmo Canyon, we learn that the vengeful spectres of the Gi tribe still linger there, having perished during the battle in which Nanaki's father, Seto, defeated them single-handedly. Bugenhagen describes the phantoms as being too filled with hate and anger for their spirit energy to diffuse into the lifestream, and so they have remained on the physical plane. Anyone who has played Final Fantasy X, also created by Yoshinori Kitase, Tetsuya Nomura, Kazushige Najima and Motomu Toriyama, may note that this description is similar to fiends, which are effectively unfulfilled souls who have not yet been sent to the Farplane, and have eventually become monsters. It has long been speculated due to creator comments in the Final Fantasy VII Ultimania Omega, and a vague affirmation by Kitase himself in 2017, that this world and Spira of Final Fantasy X actually share the same universe? If so, one could argue that these ghosts are behaving like unsent fiends. Anyway, getting back to my point, the spectres of the Gi tribe are an unusual case in terms of the metaphysics of Final Fantasy VII. During the livestream white mini-chapters of the official novel On the Way to a Smile, Aerith makes it very clear that some of the souls who join the livestream are already angry, and not yet willing to accept their fate. Such strands of spirit energy are susceptible to Sephiroth's influence, and run the risk of joining the negative livestream instead. So what's the difference between these angry souls and the vengeful warriors of the Gi tribe, who haven't entered the livestream at all? One theory points to the existence of the Gian attack, the undead chief of the clan, whose grip on the physical plane may be so strong that it provides a focal point for the others, or may even prevent them from passing on. As we'll soon discover in this chapter of the remake, the so-called Black Wind works in a similar way.